Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the soft, sandy folds of the Sahara, where the air smells of dust and distant campfires, and the stars are so bright they feel like they're judging you. Picture yourself stumbling off a creaky camel, your sandals sinking into cool desert sand, as shadowy figures move around a caravan stop in ancient Mali. It's the 13th century, and you're here to witness something bizarrely soothing. Traders swapping goods without saying a single word. Silent barter, they call it, a system so quiet it's practically ASMR for medieval merchants. Fair warning though. You probably won't survive the first scorpion sting, or the lack of Wi-Fi out here. So don't get too cozy. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Oh, and drop a comment with your city and local time. I love knowing where you're drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The desert night wraps around you like a heavy blanket, the kind your grandma insists you need even in summer. You're at a Saharan caravan stop, a nowhere place where the sand dunes hum with secrets. The moon is full, painting everything in shades of silver and gray, and the air carries a faint tang of salt, not the table kind, but the kind that's about to make someone richer than a king. You squint at the horizon, where a line of camels sways in the distance, their silhouettes like a slow-motion parade. These are Mali traders, part of an empire so wealthy it makes European kingdoms look like they're scrimping for loose change. The Mali Empire, at its peak from the 13th to 15th centuries, controlled trade routes that crisscross West Africa, linking salt mines in the north to gold fields in the south. That's the mainstream fact you can nod at while yawning. Mali was the medieval equivalent of a global trade hub, with Timbuktu as its glittering storefront. But here's the quirky bit. These traders don't haggle, shout, or even whisper. They've perfected silent barter, a system where goods are swapped without a single word. You watch a trader unpack a slab of salt, set it on a woven mat, and walk away, leaving it like a kid abandoning a sandcastle. Another trader, maybe from a different tribe, creeps in later, drops a pile of gold dust and vanishes. No eye contact, no small talk, no hey, can you throw in some extra camel feed? It's like the world's most awkward blind date, but for commerce. Why the silence? Historians still argue whether it was to avoid language barriers, dodge tribal feuds, or just because someone decided talking was overrated. Whatever the reason, it worked, and you're about to see it unfold. You shuffle closer to the caravan stop, your sandals kicking up puffs of sand that glitter in the moonlight. The ground is littered with oddments, broken pottery, a stray bead, maybe a camel's lost toenail. Okay, I'm kidding about that last one, but you get the vibe. This place is alive with quiet purpose. You notice a circle of low tents, their canvas flapping softly in the breeze, and a fire pit where embers glow like tiny sleepy eyes. The traders aren't lounging though. They're busy arranging goods under the stars. You spot piles of kola nuts, stacks of dried fish, and those precious salt slabs, each one the size of a pizza box and twice as heavy. Your arms ache just looking at them. Fun fact. Carrying one of those across the Sahara is like lugging a toddler who never stops complaining. The silence is what hits you hardest. Back home, you're used to markets where vendors yell about their fresh organic kale, or whatever. Here it's so quiet you can hear the sand shift underfoot, like nature's own white noise machine. You try to eavesdrop, but there's nothing to hear. Just the occasional snort from a camel who's clearly judging your life choices. You wonder how anyone keeps track of who's trading what. Spoiler. They don't use post-it notes. Instead, they rely on trust, routine, and a system so old it feels like the desert itself invented it. You settle onto a dune, the sand cool against your legs, and watch a trader light a small torch. Its flicker casts shadows that dance like ghosts, and you realize this is the start of something oddly hypnotic. Before you get too comfy, let's talk about the stakes. One wrong move, like accidentally stepping on someone's salt pile, and you're not just out of the deal, you're probably dodging spears. Okay, maybe not spears, but definitely some serious side-eye. The Mali traders, especially the Wang era, a group known for their gold trade, guard their secrets like you guard your Netflix password. They've been doing this for centuries, and you're just a newbie trying not to trip over a dune. As you sit there, the night deepens and the caravan stop feels less like a place and more like a dream you're not sure you'll wake from. The traders move like shadows, their silent barter unfolding under the stars, and you're hooked. You're still crouched on that dune, the Saharan night pressing against you like a heavy quilt, the kind that makes you wonder if you'll ever climb out of bed. The caravan stop hums with quiet purpose, and you're starting to get why these Mali traders are so obsessed with silence. It's not just a quirk, it's the backbone of their whole deal. Let's rewind a bit and dig into why these folks decided talking was the enemy of a good trade. You're about to learn the roots of silent barter, and trust me, it's weirder than your uncle's conspiracy theories about microwave ovens. Picture yourself standing at the edge of the caravan stop, sand crunching under your sandals, as you watch a trader arrange a pile of cola nuts in a neat circle. He steps back, glances around like he's checking for spies, and then melts into the shadows. No words, no haggling, just a vibe that says, take it or leave it. This is silent barter in action, a system that's been humming along since at least the 8th century, when the Mali Empire's predecessors started swapping goods across the Sahara. Here's the mainstream fact to tuck into your sleepy brain. Silent barter wasn't just a Mali thing. It was a West African specialty, used by tribes like the Wangara to trade gold, salt, and other goodies with outsiders, especially Arab and Berber merchants from the north. It turned the Sahara into a highway of wealth, long before anyone thought to pave it. But why go mute? You're probably thinking, couldn't they just learn a few phrases in each other's languages? Sure, but that's like expecting you to negotiate a car price in Klingon. Language barriers were a big deal. Different tribes spoke different tongues, and yelling louder didn't help. Plus, there was a quirky tidbit that makes this even stranger. Some traders believed speaking during a deal could jinx it. Call it superstition or proto-ASMR. But they thought silence kept the spirits happy and the goods flowing. You try not to snicker as you imagine a trader shushing his camel for sneezing too loud. Historians still argue whether this no-talking rule was purely practical, or some kind of sacred ritual. Did the Wang era think words carried bad mojo? Or were they just tired of awkward small talk? No one's sure, and that's half the fun. You shift on the dune, your legs tingling from sitting too long, and notice the air's gotten cooler, like the desert's reminding you it's bedtime. The caravan stop is a maze of shadows now, with traders moving like ghosts. You're starting to see how silence isn't just about avoiding fights. It's about control. By not speaking, these traders keep their secrets close. The Wang era, for instance, never let outsiders know where their gold came from. You imagine them smirking under their turbans thinking, good luck finding our mines, buddy. It's like they invented the medieval equivalent of a VPN. You try to picture explaining that to your friends back home, but they probably just ask why you're obsessed with old guys trading salt. Speaking of salt, you can't help but notice the stacks of it glinting in the moonlight, each slab looking like a giant crusty dinner plate. Salt was the oil of the medieval world. Everyone needed it, and Mali had it in spades, thanks to mines like Tagaza in the north. You're tempted to lick one just to see what the fuss is about, but then you remember you're not exactly Bear Grylls. Instead, you watch a trader adjust his pile, adding a few extra nuts to sweeten the deal. He doesn't say a word, but his hands move with the confidence of someone who's done this 1,000 times. You're impressed, but also a little jealous. Imagine pulling off a deal that smooth at your local flea market. The silence starts to feel less weird and more comforting. It's like the whole caravan stop is holding its breath, waiting for the next move. You hear a faint rustle, maybe a trader's robe brushing against a mat, and it's oddly soothing like rain on a window. You're starting to get why this system worked for centuries. It's not just about dodging arguments, it's about trust. These traders don't need to yap because they know the rules. You, on the other hand, are still figuring out how not to trip over a camel's tether. Joke's on you though, there's a rope right in front of you, and you're about to eat sand if you're not careful. Before you faceplant, let's talk about the bigger picture. Silent barter wasn't just a cute tradition. It kept the Mali Empire's economy humming. Gold and salt flowed like nobody's business, making kings like Mansa Musa so rich he accidentally crashed Egypt's economy by overspending on a pilgrimage. You try to wrap your head around that level of flex, but it's like imagining your boss buying the moon. For now, you're content to watch the traders work their wordless magic, each move as deliberate as a chess master's. The night stretches on, and you're ready to see what's next. Probably something involving salt slabs and more camels than you can count. You're still perched on that dune, the Saharan night wrapping you in its cool starry embrace. The caravan stopped buzzing with its wordless rhythm. The trader's silent dance has you hooked, But now your eyes are locked on those salt slabs glinting like oversized moonlit dinner plates. They're not just props in this quiet game. They're the real stars of the show. You're about to learn why salt was worth more than gold in ancient Mali. And trust me, it's not because anyone was making artisanal margaritas. You shuffle closer to a trader's mat, your sandals scuffing the sand, and crouch to get a better look. The salt slabs are rough, heavy, and oddly beautiful. Like something you'd see in a hipster's kitchen next to a $200 candle. Each one's about the size of a laptop, carved from the mines of Tagaza, a brutal desert hellscape where workers probably dreamed of air conditioning. Here's the mainstream fact to murmur as you drift off. In the Mali Empire, salt was a currency as precious as gold because it preserved food and kept people alive in a world without fridges. In the 13th century, a slab of salt could buy you a camel, a wife, or enough cola nuts to stay awake through a week of tax season. You're starting to see why these traders treat it like it's the last slice of pizza. But here's the quirky bit. Some Malians believed salt had mystical powers. Not like cure your cold powers, but the kind that could ward off evil spirits or make your crops grow better. You imagine a trader sprinkling salt around his tent, like he's auditioning for a medieval ghost hunting show. It's hard not to chuckle, especially when you picture him side-eyeing his camel to make sure it's not cursed. Historians still argue whether this salt worship was widespread or just a local quirk. Did every trader think salt was magic? Or was it just a few guys trying to upsell their slabs? The debate's as old as the dunes, and you're not here to solve it, just to soak in the weirdness. You reach out to touch a slab, half expecting it to zap you with some ancient mojo, but it's just gritty and cold. Still, you can't help feeling its weight, literally and figuratively. Carrying one of these across the Sahara was no joke. A single slab could weigh as much as a small child, and you're pretty sure you'd collapse after 10 steps. You glance at a trader, his muscles rippling under his robe as he stacks another slab like it's a yoga block. Show off. You're tempted to ask him for tips, but then you remember the whole no-talking thing. Instead, you watch him arrange his goods, salt on one side, cola nuts on the other, like he's setting up a silent auction for the desert's elite. The air around you smells faintly of dust and something sharper, maybe the tang of the salt itself. It's weirdly soothing, like the scent of rain you can't quite place. You notice the other traders moving in the same deliberate way. Their mats spread out like little islands in the sand. Each one's a gamble. Leave too little salt and you get shortchanged. Leave too much and you're eating sand for dinner. You're starting to respect the hustle, even if it's slower than a dial-up connection. Joke's on you though, while you're daydreaming, a stray goat nibbles at your sandal, and you flinch like you've seen a snake. So much for blending in. Let's talk numbers, because this salt obsession wasn't just about survival, it was big business. A single caravan could haul tons of salt south, trading it for gold dust so fine it looked like glitter. You try to picture the math. 1 slab for a handful of gold, 100 slabs for a fortune. No wonder Mansa Musa, Mali's richest king, could afford to toss gold around like confetti. You're half jealous, half relieved you don't have to lug these slabs yourself. The traders, though, seem unfazed, their faces calm as they adjust their piles under the stars. You wonder what they're thinking, probably something like, hope that guy doesn't lowball me again. The moonlight shifts, casting long shadows that make the salt slabs look like ancient relics. You're starting to get why this caravan stop feels like a secret club. The silence, the salt, the trust. It's all part of a system that's been working for centuries. You lean back, the dune cradling you like a lumpy mattress, and let the scene sink in. Somewhere nearby, a camel grunts and you stifle a laugh. Maybe it's complaining about the exchange rate. For now, you're content to watch the traders work their magic. Each slab a quiet promise of wealth. The night's still young, and there's more to this wordless world than you thought. The Saharan night still holds you close, the air cool and sharp with that faint salt tang. Like you're sniffing the edge of an ancient deal. You're sprawled on your dune, watching the caravan stop's quiet rhythm. Those salt slabs gleaming like they're auditioning for a museum display. But now your attention shifts to a trader slipping through the shadows, his movements precise, almost sneaky. He's not just dropping off goods, he's leaving signals, a secret code that keeps this silent barter humming. You're about to decode the Wangara's cryptic system, and it's like stumbling into a medieval spy novel, minus the explosions. You inch closer, sand crunching under your knees, to watch this trader at work. He's a Wangara, one of the gold trading pros who'd rather eat sand than spill their secrets. He sets down a small pile of gold dust, barely a shimmer in the moonlight, and then does something odd. He arranges a few sticks in a crisscross pattern next to it. No words, no note, just this twiggy doodle that apparently means something. Here's the mainstream fact to whisper as you doze. The Wang era used silent barter to trade gold with outsiders, like Berber merchants, without ever meeting face to face, relying on signals like sticks, stones, or even footprints to communicate offers and counteroffers. It's the ultimate introvert's dream. Commerce without chit-chat. But here's the quirky tidbit. Some Wang era signals were so weird they sound like they belong in a prank. One trader might leave a feather to say, "I'm not impressed," or scatter pebbles to mean, "Add more salt, cheapskate." You're trying not to giggle as you imagine a grumpy merchant kicking over a pebble pile like it's a bad Yelp review. Historians still argue whether these signals were a standardized code or just improvised sass. Did every Wang era know that 3 sticks meant deals off? Or was it more like your group chat's chaotic emoji wars? The debate's a snooze fest, but it makes you wonder. You lean forward, squinting at the trader's stick arrangement. It's not random. 2 sticks point north. One's angled like it's pointing at your bad life choices. You're dying to know what it means, but good luck asking. The Wang era guard their code like it's the recipe for the perfect pumpkin spice latte. You notice another trader, probably a northerner, creeping in to inspect the setup. He pauses, scratches his beard, and adds a single stone to the mat before vanishing. It's like watching a chess game where nobody explains the rules, and you're the only one clueless. You're tempted to rearrange the sticks just to mess with them, but then you remember that whole "don't get speared" vibe from earlier. The air around you hums with tension, not the loud kind, but the soft buzz of a deal in progress. The sand's cool against your palms, and you can hear a distant camel grumbling, probably still mad about its workload. You're starting to get how this code works, though. The sticks and stones aren't just props. They're a language, a way to haggle without breaking the silence. You imagine trying this at your local grocery store, leaving a twig by the apples to say, "Lower the price, Karen." Yeah, that'd go over well. The Wang era, though, make it look effortless. Their signals as precise as a surgeon's scalpel. Let's talk stakes, because this isn't just a cute tradition. A bad signal, like misplacing a stick, could tank a deal, leaving you with a pile of gold nobody wants. The Wangara's gold was legendary, mined from secret spots in the south, and they used this code to keep outsiders guessing. You're half awed, half annoyed at their secrecy. It's like they're the cool kids in school, and you're stuck eating lunch alone. You watch the first trader return, his eyes narrowing at the new stone. He nods, adds another pinch of gold, and adjusts a stick. Deal's back on. You're impressed, but also wondering how they don't lose track of all these twigs. The moonlight shifts, painting the mats in silver, and you notice more signals around the stop. Pebbles here, a feather there. It's like the desert's playing its own game of Clue, and you're still figuring out the board. You lean back, the dune cradling you like a lumpy couch, and let the scene sink in. The Wangara's code is more than just sticks. It's trust, cunning, and a whole lot of patience. You stifle a yawn, partly from the hour, partly because this quiet drama is weirdly soothing. Somewhere nearby, a camel snorts and you chuckle. Maybe it's laughing at your attempt to keep up. The night's deep now, and you're ready to see where this silent game leads next. The Saharan night still holds you close, the air cool and sharp with that faint salt tang, like you're sniffing the edge of an ancient deal. You're sprawled on your dune, watching the caravan stop's quiet rhythm, those salt slabs gleaming like they're auditioning for a museum display. But now your attention shifts to a trader slipping through the shadows, his movements precise, almost sneaky. He's not just dropping off goods, he's leaving signals, a secret code that keeps this silent barter humming. You're about to decode the Wangara's cryptic system, and it's like stumbling into a medieval spy novel, minus the explosions. You inch closer, sand crunching under your knees, to watch this trader at work. He's a Wang era, one of the gold trading pros who'd rather eat sand than spill their secrets. He sets down a small pile of gold dust, barely a shimmer in the moonlight, and then does something odd. He arranges a few sticks in a crisscross pattern next to it. No words, no note, just this twiggy doodle that apparently means something. Here's the mainstream fact to whisper as you doze. The Wang era used silent barter to trade gold with outsiders, like Berber merchants, without ever meeting face to face, relying on signals like sticks, stones, or even footprints to communicate offers and counteroffers. It's the ultimate introvert's dream. Commerce without chit-chat. But here's the quirky tidbit. Some Wang-era signals were so weird they sound like they belong in a prank. One trader might leave a feather to say, "I'm not impressed," or scatter pebbles to mean, "Add more salt, cheapskate." You're trying not to giggle as you imagine a grumpy merchant kicking over a pebble pile like it's a bad Yelp review. Historians still argue whether these signals were a standardized code or just improvised sass. Did every Wang era know that 3 sticks meant deals off? Or was it more like your group chat's chaotic emoji wars? The debate's a snooze fest, but it makes you wonder. You lean forward, squinting at the trader's stick arrangement. It's not random. 2 sticks point north. One's angled like it's pointing at your bad life choices. You're dying to know what it means, but good luck asking. The Wang era guard their code like it's the recipe for the perfect pumpkin spice latte. You notice another trader, probably a northerner, creeping in to inspect the setup. He pauses, scratches his beard, and adds a single stone to the mat before vanishing. It's like watching a chess game where nobody explains the rules, and you're the only one clueless. You're tempted to rearrange the sticks just to mess with them, but then you remember that whole "don't get speared" vibe from earlier. The air around you hums with tension, not the loud kind, but the soft buzz of a deal in progress. The sand's cool against your palms, and you can hear a distant camel grumbling, probably still mad about its workload. You're starting to get how this code works, though. The sticks and stones aren't just props. They're a language, a way to haggle without breaking the silence. You imagine trying this at your local grocery store, leaving a twig by the apples to say, "Lower the price, Karen." Yeah, that'd go over well. The Wang era, though, make it look effortless. Their signals as precise as a surgeon's scalpel. Let's talk stakes, because this isn't just a cute tradition. A bad signal, like misplacing a stick, could tank a deal, leaving you with a pile of gold nobody wants. The Wangara's gold was legendary, mined from secret spots in the south, and they used this code to keep outsiders guessing. You're half awed, half annoyed at their secrecy. It's like they're the cool kids in school, and you're stuck eating lunch alone. You watch the first trader return, his eyes narrowing at the new stone. He nods, adds another pinch of gold, and adjusts a stick. Deal's back on. You're impressed, but also wondering how they don't lose track of all these twigs. The moonlight shifts, painting the mats in silver, and you notice more signals around the stop. Pebbles here, a feather there. It's like the desert's playing its own game of Clue, and you're still figuring out the board. You lean back, the dune cradling you like a lumpy couch, and let the scene sink in. The Wangara's code is more than just sticks. It's trust, cunning, and a whole lot of patience. You stifle a yawn, partly from the hour, partly because this quiet drama is weirdly soothing. Somewhere nearby, a camel snorts and you chuckle. Maybe it's laughing at your attempt to keep up. The night's deep now, and you're ready to see where this silent game leads next. The Saharan night clings to you, its cool breeze whispering secrets as the caravan stop hums with quiet deals. You're still sprawled on that dune, sand wedged in places you'll regret later, watching the Wangara stick and stone code unfold like a wordless soap opera. But now the scene shifts. Dawn's creeping closer, and the caravan is stirring. You're about to join a camel train's dusty, swaying journey across the Sahara, and trust me, it's less glamorous than those Instagram travel reels you scroll through at 2 a.m. You stand brushing sand off your robes, and shuffle toward a line of camels being loaded with goods. Their humps are stacked with salt slabs, cola nuts, and bundles of dried fish, all tied down with ropes that look older than your grandma's knitting. The air smells of camel breath. Think gym socks meet stale coffee, and you're already regretting your life choices. Here's the mainstream fact to murmur as you nod off. Mali's trans-Saharan caravans, often stretching hundreds of camels long, were the empire's economic lifeline, carrying salt south and gold north across routes that could take weeks. These treks weren't just about profit. They connected cultures, spreading ideas and goods from Timbuktu to Tunis. But here's the quirky bit. Some traders swore by camel whispering to keep their animals calm. Not actual whispering, remember? Silence is the vibe. But little rituals like tying a blue bead to a camel's ear to ward off desert spirits. You're trying not to laugh as you picture a trader sneaking a bead onto a camel like it's a secret Santa gift. Historians still argue whether these rituals were widespread, or just one guy's weird hobby. Did every caravan leader play camel stylist? Or was it a superstition that died with the dunes? No one's got receipts, but it's fun to imagine. You're nudged toward a camel, its eyes giving you the kind of stink eye that says, "I'm not your Uber." You climb on, your balance wobbling like you're auditioning for a circus. The caravan lurches forward, and you're swaying with the rhythm of a ship in a storm. The sand stretches endless before you, dunes rolling like waves frozen in time. You grip the saddle, feeling every jolt, and wonder how these traders don't end up with permanent back pain. The salt slabs clink softly behind you, a reminder of the wealth bumping along this dusty highway. You're tempted to complain, but then you remember that whole silent barter thing. No whining allowed. The sun's peeking over the horizon now, painting the sand in shades of pink and gold. It's beautiful, but also a gentle reminder that you're about to bake like a discount muffin. You pull your scarf tighter, mimicking the traders who seem unfazed by the heat. They guide their camels with flicks of a stick, their faces calm as if they're strolling through a park, not a desert that could swallow you whole. You're starting to respect their grit, even if you're pretty sure you'd trade your left sandal for a Slurpee right now. Joke's on you though, a stray rope slaps your arm, and you yelp, earning a grumpy snort from your camel. Great, now even the livestock's judging you. Let's talk logistics, because this caravan isn't just a vibe, it's a machine. A single train could carry enough salt to fund a small kingdom, and the traders planned routes like they were playing Risk. They knew every oasis, every shortcut, and every spot where bandits might try to ruin their day. You're half awed, half intimidated, imagining yourself trying to navigate with just stars and a hunch. The traders, though, move like they've got Google Maps in their heads, their camels plotting in sync. You notice one trader adjusting a load, his hands quick but silent, and you're reminded of those twig signals from earlier. It's all connected: silence, trust, and a whole lot of sand. The caravan's rhythm is hypnotic, each step a soft thud in the dust. You're starting to feel the desert's pulse, its vastness sinking into your bones. Somewhere ahead, Timbuktu waits, its markets buzzing with deals you'll see soon enough. For now, you're just a speck in this endless sea of sand, swaying with the camels, the salt, and the secrets. You stifle a yawn, partly from the motion, partly because this dusty trek is weirdly lulling. A camel grunts nearby, and you chuckle, maybe it's saying, "Keep up, rookie." The sun climbs higher, and you're ready to see where this caravan leads next. The Sahara's grip on you softens as the caravan's dusty trail fades behind, and now you're stepping into Timbuktu's bustling heart, where the air hums with spice and sweat. The sun's high, baking the sand under your sandals, but the city's energy pulls you forward like a moth to a flame. You're about to wander Timbuktu's markets, dodging chatty merchants while the silent barter system lingers like a ghost in the background. It's a chaotic shift from the desert's hush, and you're not sure if you're ready for the noise or the smells. You push through a crowd, your robes brushing against strangers, and find yourself in a maze of stalls draped with colorful cloth. The market's alive with sounds, vendors shouting about cola nuts, goats bleating, and the clinky chingfangkong of copper coins. It's like someone turned the volume up on the caravan's silence, and you're half tempted to plug your ears. Here's the mainstream fact to whisper as you drift. Timbuktu, in the 13th and 14th centuries, was a global trade hub of the Mali Empire, drawing merchants from across Africa and the Mediterranean to swap gold, salt, and manuscripts. It wasn't just a market, it was a cultural crossroads, where ideas mingled as freely as goods. But here's the quirky tidbit. Some Timbuktu merchants used silent corners in the market, little nooks where they'd mimic the desert's wordless trades. You spot one now. A shaded stall where a trader sets down a salt slab, steps back and waits, ignoring the chaos around him. It's like he's playing charades while everyone else is auditioning for a shouting match. Historians still argue whether these silent corners were a nod to tradition, or just a way to avoid pushy customers. Did traders keep the silence for secrecy, or were they just over the market's racket? You're not sure, but you're intrigued, dodging a donkey cart to get a closer look. The stall's mat is piled with goods, gold dust in tiny pouches, dried fish that smell like regret, and those familiar salt slabs, glinting like they know their worth. You're tempted to touch one, remembering their weight from the caravan stop, but a nearby merchant's glare stops you cold. He's yelling about his finest cola nuts, and you're pretty sure he'd sell you his sandal if he could. You weave through the crowd, your senses on overload. The air's thick with cumin, sweat, and something sweet, maybe dates roasting nearby. It's a far cry from the desert's clean dust, and you're starting to miss the camel's grumpy snorts. Joke's on you though, a kid bumps into you, nearly sending you into a pile of pottery. So much for staying suave. Let's talk scale, because Timbuktu's market isn't just a flea market. It's a medieval megamall. Thousands of traders converge here, from Berbers with salt to Wangara with gold, all haggling in a dozen languages. But those silent corners? They're the oddballs where the desert's rules still apply. You watch a trader in one corner adjust a pile of gold dust, then leave a single pebble. Yep, there's that Wangara code again, sneaking into the city like an inside joke. Another trader, maybe an outsider, inspects it, adds a salt slab and walks off. No words, no fuss, just the deal. You're impressed, but also wondering how they don't get robbed in this chaos. The market's pulse is relentless, and you're swept along, dodging baskets and curious goats. You notice manuscripts for sale, leather-bound books that make Timbuktu famous as a scholar's paradise. You're tempted to browse, but then you remember you're broke and can't read 13th century Arabic. The silent corner pulls you back, its calm a stark contrast to the shouting. You lean against a wall, the adobe cool against your back, and watch the wordless trade unfold. It's soothing, like finding a quiet coffee shop in a loud city. You're starting to get why some traders cling to silence. It's not just practical, it's a lifeline. Somewhere nearby, a vendor's laugh cuts through the din, and you chuckle, imagining he's overselling his magic cola nuts. The sun's dipping now, casting long shadows that make the market feel like a stage. You're hooked on this blend of chaos and calm, the loud haggling and the silent deals. It's Timbuktu in a nutshell. A city that's everything at once. You stifle a yawn, the market's buzz lulling you in its own weird way. The silent corner's trader glances your way, and you freeze, hoping he doesn't think you're spying. For now, you're content to soak in the scene, ready to see what this city reveals next. The Timbuktu market's clamor still buzzes in your ears, but you're drifting away from the shouting vendors and their piles of dates, back toward the quieter edges where the desert's rules hold sway. The sun's dipping lower, painting the adobe walls in shades of amber, and you're catching your breath after dodging that overzealous goat. Now you're zeroing in on a silent corner, where a deal's unfolding with no words, just a kind of ancient trust that feels like magic. You're about to witness how Mali traders sealed silent deals with honor, and it's like watching a handshake you can't quite hear. You settle against a weathered wall, the adobe gritty under your palms, and watch a trader in a flowing robe arrange a small heap of gold dust on a mat. He steps back, his movements slow, deliberate, like he's laying out a sacred offering. Another trader, maybe a Berber from the north, approaches, inspects the pile, and adds a salt slab before vanishing into the market's haze. No nods, no smiles, just pure trust. Here's the mainstream fact to murmur as you doze. Silent barter relied on an unspoken code of honor in the Mali Empire, where traders from different cultures, Wangara, Berber, even Songhai, followed strict rules to swap goods without cheating, keeping the Sahara's trade routes flowing for centuries. It's the kind of trust that makes your group project teammates look like total flakes. But here's the quirky tidbit. Some traders left tiny trust tokens with their goods, like a bead or a carved wooden charm, as a personal signature. You spot one now, a small blue bead tucked beside the gold dust, glinting like it's winking at you. It's not just decoration. It's a promise, like leaving your initials on a contract. You're trying not to snicker as you imagine a trader panicking because he lost his lucky bead, like it's his medieval ID card. Historians still argue whether these tokens were common, or just a Wang-era flex. Did every trader use them, or were they a status symbol for the elite? The debate's as dusty as the market, but it adds a spark to this quiet scene. You shift, sand crunching under your sandals, and lean closer, half expecting the bead to reveal some grand secret. The air's thick with the market's lingering scents, cumin, leather, and that weird fishy whiff from earlier. The silence in this corner feels heavy, almost sacred, like you've stumbled into a library during a shouting match. You're starting to get how trust powers this system. These traders don't need to talk because they know the rules. Leave your goods, walk away, and trust the other guy won't pull a fast one. You're tempted to test it, maybe drop a pebble and see if someone trades you a camel, but then you remember you're broke and terrible at haggling. The trader returns, his eyes scanning the mat. He sees the salt slab, nods to himself, and adds another pinch of gold before stepping back again. It's hypnotic, this wordless back and forth, like a dance nobody taught you. You're impressed but also a little paranoid. What if someone sneaks in and swaps the gold for sand? Joke's on you though, while you're overthinking, a stray chicken struts by, eyeing the bead like it's lunch. You shoo it away, feeling like a hero even if nobody noticed. The trader doesn't flinch, his focus locked on the deal, and you're starting to respect this guy's zen. Let's talk stakes, because trust isn't just warm fuzzies. It's survival. One bad deal could mean a trader's out, weeks of travel, and a fortune in goods. The Mali Empire's economy leaned on this honor system, with Timbuktu as its beating heart. You're reminded of those salt slabs from the caravan, each one a gamble that someone's word, or bead, is good. The market's noise creeps back, a vendor's laugh cutting through, and you chuckle, imagining he's hyping up his genuine camel hair socks. But here in this silent corner, it's all about faith. You watch the Berber return, inspect the new gold, and leave another slab. Deal done. No handshake, just trust. The sun's sinking now, casting long shadows that make the mat look like a stage. You're hooked on this quiet drama. The way honor holds it together like glue. It's soothing, like the hum of a fan you forgot was on. You lean back, the wall cool against your shoulders, and let the scene settle. Somewhere nearby, a camel grumbles, probably still mad about its workload, and you stifle a laugh. The market's fading into twilight, but this silent deal's glow lingers. You're ready to see what's next, maybe something about the people keeping this system alive. Twilight wraps Timbuktu's market in a soft, golden haze, the noise of vendors and goats fading as you linger in that silent corner, still marveling at the trust binding those wordless deals. The blue bead from the last trade glints on the mat, a tiny promise in the dusk. But now your gaze shifts to a figure moving through the crowd. Not a robed merchant, but a woman, her basket balanced with the grace of someone who's done this 1,000 times. You're about to meet the female traders shaping Mali's silent barter system, and trust me, they're the unsung MVPs of this desert hustle. You shuffle closer, sand gritty under your sandals, and watch her approach a mat. She's older, her face lined like a map of the Sahara, and her hands move with quiet confidence as she sets down a bundle of dyed cloth. She steps back, leaving a small stone marker, and melts into the market's shadows. No fuss, no fanfare, just the same silent rhythm you've seen before. Here's the mainstream fact to murmur as you drift. Women in the Mali Empire, especially in the 13th and 14th centuries, were active traders, often controlling local markets for goods like cloth, pottery, and kola nuts, which they swapped in both noisy bazaars and silent barter systems. They weren't just background players, they kept the economy humming. But here's the quirky tidbit. Some female traders use special markers, like braided grass or shells, to signal their trades, a kind of feminine flair in the male-dominated desert routes. You spot it now, a tiny braid of grass tucked beside her cloth, like a signature in a world without pens. You're trying not to grin as you imagine her weaving it with the same focus you give to untangling your earbuds. Historians still argue whether these markers were a deliberate code or just personal style. Did women use them to stand out, or were they claiming space in a trader's world? The debate's as tangled as the grass, but it makes her presence feel electric. You lean against a stall, the wood creaking under your weight, and watch her mat from a distance. The air's cooler now, carrying the sweet tang of roasting dates and the faint musk of the market's chaos. You're starting to see how women fit into this silent system, slipping through the cracks of history's spotlight. They weren't lugging salt slabs across the Sahara, those were men's burdens, but they ruled the local trade, turning Timbuktu's markets into their domain. You're tempted to cheer, but then you remember the whole no-talking vibe. Instead, you watch another trader, a man, approach her mat, inspect the cloth, and leave a small pouch of gold dust. Deal's on, and she's holding her own. The market's twilight glow makes everything feel softer, like you're watching a painting come to life. You're impressed, but also a little humbled. Your worst day at work doesn't compare to her juggling trade, family, and probably a nosy neighbor's gossip. Joke's on you though, while you're daydreaming, a stray kola nut rolls under your foot, and you nearly faceplant into a basket. Smooth move, champ. You recover, hoping nobody saw, and refocus on her mat. She returns, checks the gold, and adds another bundle of cloth, her grass braid still in place. It's like watching a chess master, Except the board's made of sand and trust. Let's talk impact because these women weren't just trading for kicks. Their goods, cloth, food, pottery, kept communities fed, clothed, and connected. You're reminded of those salt slabs and gold dust from earlier. But now you see the bigger picture. Women's trade in everyday items made the empire's wealth sustainable. They were the glue, even if the history books often forgot their names. You watch another woman pass by, her basket heavy with pottery, and wonder about her story. Maybe she's trading for her kids, or maybe she's just out here flexing on the guys. Either way, she's part of the silent system. Her markers whispering her presence. The market's winding down, stalls closing as the sky deepens to indigo. You're hooked on this hidden side of the story. The way women carved their space in the silence. It's soothing like the rustle of cloth on a mat. Somewhere nearby a vendor's laugh rings out. And you chuckle, imagining he's overselling his premium goat milk. The woman's mat stays quiet, her trade unfolding with the same honor you saw before. You lean back, the stalls would cool against your shoulders, and let the scene sink in. The night's settling over Timbuktu, and you're ready to see where this silent world flows next. Timbuktu's twilight has faded into a deep starry night. The market's buzz now a soft murmur as you step away from that woman's mat, her braided grass marker still vivid in your mind. The air's cooler, scented with river mud and the faint sweetness of cola nuts. You're leaving the city's chaos behind, drawn to the banks of the Niger River, where the silent barter system flows as smoothly as the water itself. You're about to paddle along Mali's watery highway, and it's like trading your camel's sway for a boat's gentle rock. Same vibe, new scenery. You reach the river's edge, your sandals sinking into damp earth, and spot a canoe bobbing in the current. It's loaded with goods, pots, cloth, even a few salt slabs because apparently those things are everywhere. A trader gestures for you to climb in, his face unreadable in the moonlight. You hesitate, wondering if you're signing up for a medieval Titanic, but you hop aboard, the canoe wobbling like your confidence. Here's the mainstream fact to whisper as you drift. The Niger River was a vital trade artery for the Mali Empire, carrying goods like gold, cloth, and food between cities like Timbuktu and Gao, with canoes serving as the 13th century equivalent of delivery trucks. It kept the empire connected and rich. But here's the quirky tidbit. Some river traders use floating trade markers to signal deals, like reeds tied in specific knots and left bobbing on the water. You notice one now, a bundle of reeds lashed into a triangle, drifting near the canoe's side. It's like a post-it note for the river, and you're trying not to laugh as you imagine a trader panicking because his reeds sank. Historians still argue whether these floating signals were a standard practice, or just a riverside quirk. Did every trader use them, or were they a local fad like bedazzled canoe paddles? The debate's as murky as the Niger, but it makes the water feel alive. The trader pushes off, and you're gliding now, the paddles splash blending with the river's soft gurgle. The water's dark, reflecting stars like a liquid sky, and you're starting to feel like you're in a dream sequence. You grip the canoe's edge, half expecting a crocodile to photobomb your moment, but it's just you, the trader, and the goods. He's silent, of course, his paddle slicing the water with the precision of a chef. You're tempted to ask where you're going, but then you remember the whole no-talking rule, plus you're pretty sure he'd just point at the reeds and call it a day. Joke's on you, though. A splash of river water hits your face, and you flinch like you've been personally insulted. So much for staying cool.